Hey, what's up? Welcome to this Friday episode. My name is Chris for Kriscoart, and I'm pretty excited for this one since it's a very different format. I usually don't make these kind of videos, but Billie Eilish just dropped a new music video that has a ton of really cool visual ideas, and I just wanted to react to them and sort of break them down so that you can also use them or be inspired by them to use in your own projects. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun little experiment, change of pace for this channel. I do want to also disclose I had no part in the production of this music video. I am just breaking this down as a fan, as a filmmaker, and hopefully it can provide some value and some insight on how this music video was lit and some of the visual effects that you can also emulate in your own project. So let's jump right in. So right off the bat, we're seeing a very moody image here. I already love this. It's really setting the tone and the vibe just within the first frame. And lighting wise, you can see that there is probably a really big source of light up here just right above frame that is shining down, and it's also giving this very nice and tasteful soft edge that is backlighting. I think it's Billie Eilish in this shot right here. Can't really tell since she's silhouetted at the moment, but also this light is further being diffused by the amount of haze that is in this, I'm assuming the sound stage, since you probably want to have a closed off environment to have this amount of haze. And by the way, I'm saying haze and not fog. And when you're using hazers, you want to specifically choose a hazer and the type of fluid so that it is giving you this really nice, dense look rather than these like sort of wispy, cloudy, and smoky looks that a smoke machine or like a regular party smoke machine would give you. So that's sort of the difference between a hazer with the proper liquid and the right density and just a regular smoke machine. All right, let me not get too detailed. Let's keep going on. So here we're fading into this really beautiful shot. Super smooth so far, a lot of fades. So now I do think that there is another additional source being introduced here. So we're getting a little bit more detail on her face. So there's something kicking back some light. I don't think it's a balance or reflector. I think it's another source that is complementing that larger source from the beginning. Again, I'm just kind of guessing, but I'm also letting you know how I would approach this scene based on what I'm seeing here, but could be wrong, could be right, but looks great so far. I love the vibe of this music video. So here's another interesting thing that's happening here. We can see that there's a play with not just fades, but also a lot of this sort of double exposure effect. And we've covered double exposure effects on this channel, how to do them, how to light for them. But in this case, it's not so much that typical double exposure within an image type of effect. This is more just sort of almost like lowering the opacity halfway of a layer on top and leaving the other layer below to kind of show through. And so you're getting both images at the same time. And this is a really cool effect because one thing that you'll see throughout this video, it is really going for that film aesthetic, and sort of these effects are also true to film because you can of course double expose film, you know, not just in post as this might have been done and as you can do it, but it is a real technical thing that you can do with film as well. Really cool to see these visual ideas and these themes that are very cohesive throughout the whole piece. Oh, nice. All right. I feel like I'm pausing this too much. Hopefully it's not annoying, but there's so many little things here and there that I think are huge lessons. Once you have haze, it's just any light is beautiful. I love the look of haze, and I love when it can be motivated and be extreme as it is in this case. It's such a cool way to immediately add atmosphere, but I do want to point out something else. First of all, we're having this really nice golden source here kind of break through this haze, and this time it looks like a pretty hard light. So we've moved from more of a soft source into a more spotlight type of light, and it's breaking through this more cooler ambience. Really cool. I love these complementary colors. I've done some music videos with a similar idea in terms of color palette and in terms of bringing in more golden and warmer rays into a cold environment. That contrast always plays well. But also I want to point out that there's a lot of particles in the air, and this kind of follows a theory and an idea of what makes something cinematic, and one of the masters of this idea was Akira Kurosawa. If you've seen Seven Samurais or other just masterful pieces of work from him. He uses a lot of particles and natural elements such as wind to add movement within the frame and add depth within the frame. And having all these elements, it just elevates the level of interest and just makes the shot a lot more dynamic. Really cool, probably Steadicam work going on here. Again, you see, okay, here's another thing. I'm gonna pause that. It's probably a bad place to pause it. Now, here's another really cool visual trick that, again, is sticking to things that can happen in camera. And this can be done, of course, with a film camera, but you can also do this with a mirrorless camera, such as an A7S. And that is lowering the shutter speed well below what your frame rate is. So sometimes if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you want to have your shutter speed be at 48 or 1/48th of a second, just because the general rule of thumb is that you want to double what your frame rate is. So if you go into slow-mo, you know, if you're doing 60 frames a second, you want to crank up your shutter speed to at least 120 and so on. But if you go the opposite direction, you can start to get this really interesting motion blur and this kind of choppiness effect to it that, again, you can replicate with your mirrorless DSLR. Now, it isn't really possible to do with a regular DSLR because you can't really go below the frame rate with your shutter because it is a mechanical shutter, but with a mirrorless camera, you can actually have it both ways. It can be completely digital. So that's what allows you to kind of go below to probably, this looks like between 1/15th or 1/30th of a shutter. And that gives you this really interesting motion blur. Let me do it right now, actually. If I crank this down, see this motion? Woo! It looks all smeary and cool. Obviously, you have to compensate the exposure, but you get the idea. It's a super interesting in-camera effect, and they're also pairing this with the double exposure effect that they've previously introduced, and they're also adding some strobe to the lighting. And all of this, when it comes together, it really just gives this visceral feel, and it's just super cool. And the best part of this is that they're not throwing it all at you at once. They've built up to this moment, to these effects, so that when they're happening, it's just beautiful and it's not jarring at all. It's just really masterful work. Really love this video. It's super simple, but you know, in its simplicity, it's still genius, and it's super awesome. Got some lens flare. I wonder what lenses they use for this. It looks beautiful. Again, we have particles, we have that same moody lighting, mostly backlit, just playing with the silhouette coming in and out of that vibe, and it's just amazing. You see that spotlight again, playing with backlighting and bouncing some light back into her face just to get some detail, and you have those particles floating all around, and look at that. Look, let me just pause real quick. I love when you have a character or a subject or something interact with volumetric light in this way, and you get this breakup of this volume and these rays with this silhouetted and shallow element. It's just gorgeous. That is awesome. This is super inspiring. I mean, you're seeing the same techniques repeated in different creative ways, and it just shows you how you can have a camera and, I mean, yeah, this is like a large scale setting in terms of lighting, but these ideas you can do yourself on a very low budget to no budget. And just by being creative, you can get visuals that they look very high end. Love the emotion here. Really good directing as well. It's just such a solid piece, and it's such a good case study, and it's super inspiring. There's something to be said here with just how everything is coming together. The lighting, you know, the visuals, the editing, the camera movement. It's all very intentional. It's almost like a dance. Even this kind of blurriness coming in and out of focus that we're seeing here. And here we're back to tie it in with the first frame. Beautiful conclusion. That's always nice to the brain when you're kind of seeing that. Nabil, directed by Nabil. I hope I said that right. Amazing job to everyone. It's super inspiring work. You can definitely learn a lot from this. I've learned a lot from just reacting to this. Super solid stuff. But yeah, that's all I got. I want to do a quick breakdown and reaction to this video. Let me know if you've enjoyed this, if you want to see more of these kind of videos. I feel like I've learned a lot too, and I definitely would want to do it again. I never thought I would be doing reaction type of videos or these type of videos on this channel, but hey, this is also part of fighting the algorithm and trying to latch on to stuff that works. And of course, this is a trendy topic, trendy video, but either way, I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I've enjoyed this. And if you did and you want to see more, I will make some more. And with that being said, my name is Kriscoart for Kriscoart, and I'll see you next time.